Hi guys, this is Jay Lee, hope all is well. I want to thank you for coming back for part 2 of Robert Bingham's UFO summoning event on Earth Day, April 22nd, 2018. I just wanted to thank all those who participated and helped out with this event. Personally, I love being there when people end up seeing their very first UFO. It reminds me when the first time I saw my very first UFO. I encourage those who have never seen a UFO to come to one of these events. You'll have a lot of fun. You know, I just wanted to let everyone know that UFOs come in all shapes and sizes. Much of the stuff you see at these events takes examination and study. Many times this is not for those who are looking for UFO eye candy. This is for the ufologist. This is for those who will break down and examine logically the evidence before them. They won't ignore the obvious subtleties and aren't afraid to question them. This is for those who understand that UFOs may look different from what they expect. You have to be a researcher, but you don't have to be a scientist to see the indications of imitation. UFOs don't have to be flying saucers. Flying saucers can be UFOs, but not all UFOs are flying saucers. Think of it like this: if we wanted to follow the progress of an uncontacted indigenous tribe in the Brazilian Amazon jungle, would we be strapping our cameras to the trees in plain sight? Or would we camouflage them? Of course we would camouflage them, and the reason why we would camouflage them is that our technology won't disrupt their way of life and possibly change their direction. We would have to use some of the most sophisticated technology we had in order to achieve this. So let's just get into it. So this first one is when Robert Bingham looks up into the sky and begins to summon UFOs to our location. As I began to zoom in on the UFO, about 4 seconds in, this object shoots by my screen. I was using my Panasonic V520 at 60 frames per second. I suspect whatever it was probably about 100 to 200 yards away. I didn't pay much attention to it because I suspected it was a bird flyby. I actually captured it with 5 frames. It's definitely not a bird, but could it be a feather? Every frame seems to show different colors and a different structure. It really doesn't look like a feather to me. Did the object in the sky lead me to videotape this object? Was this a leader? So this object I captured in the sky looked a little weird. I would say it was about 3/4 of a mile away, which is pretty darn close for a UFO, and it looked to be an observational orb. People need to keep in mind that this object was requested to come to our location, and this one showed up. Many observational orbs surface without a tendril. Some drift, but this one stayed for about 5 to 10 minutes, just like the Pearl orb reported in part 1. So this one is definitely shiny and metallic. And if you ask me, the side-to-side movement reminds me of an eyeball. We saw about 60 objects this day. So here's the question for debunkers. Do you think these things just randomly appear? Do you think that if you went downwind a couple of miles, passing literally thousands and thousands of houses from our location at MacArthur Park, do you think you could see more than we did? I think you and I both know the answer to that question. We've never had anyone take this challenge. Please let me know if you'd like to try. I would love some footage of that. So like I said before, if you call for them to come to your location and things start to show up, you have to videotape or take pictures of them so you can scrutinize. You were looking for these things called indications of imitation, which are subtle, abnormal, easily overlooked features that unmask these objects. You have to ask yourself, am I simply in the right place at the right time for these objects to show up over my head? What are the chances so many atypical looking objects fly over our heads after we call? Here's another one. I think the shape of this one was a little bit unusual. The other unusual thing about this object was that it was very, very difficult to focus on. It was relatively easy to capture this, but it was very, very difficult to focus, which is a little bit on the unusual because typically if you can capture it on the screen, you could just turn the knob to focus on it. But this one, it was very difficult for some reason. I guess this one looks like a K. It absolutely has a tether or a tendril attached to it, but because it's one of the things that showed up, we have to examine it. We're looking for indications of imitation, things that shouldn't be, things that indicate that this might not be what it looks like. I didn't see any flybys with this one either, but you have to videotape it because sometimes they use these objects as, we call them leaders, in order for you to focus on them for a flyby to shoot by it. If this one had a flyby, you'd really have to look at it and examine it closer. Initially, this one looked like a Y. It definitely had a tether, but between the break in the Y portion at the very top, it looked like an occasional head would pop out, like an eagle's head. So I'm wondering if this is some sort of optical illusion or is something coming out of the break in that Y. This one definitely looked a little strange. The top bulbous structure never rotated. I thought the tether was way too thick. The horizontal, colorful object that's hanging off directly from the thick tether looks strange. I think it's easy to blow off stuff like this, but I truly believe that if you're a ufologist, you really have to examine stuff like this. Look at where the two connect closely. It looks like a tree trunk. It's really amazing. Is it giving us a hint and letting us know that it's not what it looks like? Are we perceptive enough to pick up on stuff like this? What are the chances of us seeing something as unusual as something like this? After we called for these things to come, were we just in the right place at the right time? How could that be possible? Have you ever seen anything like this? Anyway, something to think about, something to look into further. I hope you liked the video. Just to let you know that these may end up being some sort of biological entities also. I believe anything we stick up in the sky can be mimicked. If these things are mechanical, I think that their degree of technological advancement could easily fake us out. And if these things are biological, evolutionary mimicry has taken place because these things can fake out their aerial predators also. Potentially, the objects that we see in the sky have evolved much longer than things that have evolved on land. I just wanted to show a few more pictures before I leave. Enjoy the rest of the video. Please press the like button and join LA UFO channel on meetup.com and come to our next UFO sighting event. We have some of the best UFO communicators in the world come to our events. We always have a lot of fun. So please leave your comments below and I'll see you guys next time.